A man who wears the 10 pounds of gold, the nature boy, Ric Flair.
You know, I always like to take this opportunity to talk about myself.
The 16-time heavyweight champion has arrived.
I've got the style and profile like never before.
The greatest talker in the history of the business is behind the mic once again.
You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limousine like, jet flying, son of a gun. Woo!
This is Wooooo Nation with Ric Flair.
I'm the man. Ric Flair.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Nature Boy Ric Flair, the host of Wooooo Nation, along with my infamous co-host, Conrad Thompson, who had the pleasure and the company of The Undertaker on Sunday night, which we both regret. So, Conrad, I don't know how I lost my luggage trying to get him hammered, but I did.
That is the best Ric Flair story of the year so far.
Yeah, how do I lose my luggage? I'm trying to get him drunk.
So, Hayes, here's the deal. We're sitting downstairs. Mr. Undertaker's about to get on the elevator. Rick sees him, shouts him over to the bar. Imagine that. You've heard this story before. Time passes. Now Rick's ready to go to bed.
Yeah.
He goes upstairs, gets all of his luggage together, his bag and everything, and he's gone. He comes back down, panicked. 10 minutes later, where's my briefcase? We look all over, high and low. We don't see the briefcase. He goes back to his room. It's in his room. He took it to his room the first time, but he didn't remember. It's great.
Yeah, I was just faking you guys out.
It's awesome.
Yeah. This is kind of like Michael Hayes and I back in 1989 at what's the place in Baltimore, Mike? Sabatino's.
So you were naked dancing around?
No. Well, first of all, here, the most important thing is congratulations. The Freebirds are going in to the Hall of Fame, and my God, it's about time. That package they played on you guys Monday night, and I hope it airs again on Thursday, brought back so many memories for me personally. I'm actually in it a little bit. I'm on the opposition side of it, but gosh, it was great. And then I heard the story that you got Jimmy Garvin involved, which is a great tribute to what kind of person you are. So that's great. I mean, I'm really excited. So the Birds are coming to town. There was a time when that was not a good thing. People would run and hide. Now people are actually buying tickets to see them. So they always bought tickets, but they weren't allowed out at night. So the Birds are in town. Good Lord.
Lock up your daughters, lock up your wife, lock the back door, and run for your life.
Yeah, exactly. And baby's got her blue jeans on. Give us one verse, Mike.
Down on the corner on the other side of town. Mm-hmm. Baby's got her blue jeans on.
Oh, man.
That usually goes better with a number of libations, which is a little hard to do this early in the morning.
Yep.
Well, and by the way, when speaking of Mr. Undertaker, as Conrad put it, there's a reason he is called the Dead Man.
I figured it out.
But every time you try, the same result happens.
Well, I blame it on the 2 hours I spent with Conrad before that.
Oh, the primer.
Yeah, I think that somewhere along the line, because Conrad and I sat at Fleming's for 2 hours trying to find Carano, and just happened to go over to the hotel bar, and there he was.
The heater.
Yeah, I think I was feeling pretty good when I got there.
Oh, it was great. At one point, Mikey leans over to me and he says something, and I look right at him and say, "Hey, can we try that again in English?" And I got my first Flair chop right there at the bar. He was not pleased.
Lord have mercy.
Mike's got me booked on European tours, so I have to practice foreign languages sometimes. So
I think by midnight you're pretty much there.
Well, Mike, tell us how it feels, man.
Oh wow! It's awesome. I'm so happy for Terry and Buddy, who, as you know how I feel about those guys. I mean, and Jimmy too. Don't get me wrong. I mean, a lot of people don't know how close Jimmy was with us, in the respect that, when he was gorgeous Jimmy Garvin and Dallas busted wide open, I mean, Jimmy was always around us. He was the unofficial fourth Freebird then. That officially didn't happen until like 1989, 1990. But, I mean, those guys are so deserving. Mm-hmm. They did so much. A lot of times I think, people tend to look at a lead singer of the band, if you will, and not realize that he's only as good as the band is. And that was the case with us, me and the Freebirds. So, I wish Terry and Buddy would be there. I know they will be there and will be playing ribs on me all night long. Mm-hmm. But the recognition, it's cool. Like I said, I don't know what the rush was. I mean, we could have waited another 10, 20 years and I'd be dead. But I'm happy for them, their families. Terry's son is going to speak about him, Terry Ray Gordy Jr., Buddy Roberts Jr. is going to speak about his dad.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
awesome.
That's going to be super emotional, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And, back about 5 years ago when WrestleMania was in Atlanta, and before that, I used to sit on pins and needles the whole time, wondering if this was the year. Will this be the year we go in the Hall of Fame? And when it didn't happen in Atlanta, it just broke my heart. I couldn't believe it, and I was like, really?
Well, I couldn't believe it either. I was there.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, and it was just a cutoff point in my life, because from then on I didn't worry about it. I just really didn't. I became numb to it. I didn't hate it or anything of that ilk. I just was in a mindset of like, okay, because I always thought, look, if we don't go in, fine. Our career validates itself. I mean, when you put asses in seats and you give people more than their money's worth, you are Hall of Fame material, no matter what Hall of Fame that is. But then, of course, I found out from my job on the inside that Dallas was on the horizon, and those feelings started coming back. And when Triple H told me some months ago, oh, yeah, you guys are going in, I was like, oh, man. And then, all these memories come flooding back in, and all the times we had. Just unbelievable times back then. And Rick, you would come in and out. Yeah. Matter of fact, last night I got back to my house and I have my assistant here to do some office work. And
what's her name, by the way?
Actually, it's a he. Oh. You keep going there. I try to keep the hers and the she's out of your line of fire.
I'm sorry. Okay, jeez.
But we watched the infamous cage match with you and Kerry on Christmas night with me as the ref.
Oh yeah.
And I don't watch this stuff all the time, but when you watch it, the first thing that comes to my mind is how progressive, that was the whole way it came off, what it ended up doing for World-Class Championship Wrestling, and it was so far ahead of its time. Like, everybody now in a cage match slams the cage door on somebody. Yeah. I mean, it's almost like they go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. When Terry slammed that cage door on Kerry, that was just the shot heard around the world.
Yeah, it was.
It really, really was. And David Manning, every time I watch that damn thing, I can't help but thinking he must have thought he was 8 foot tall and 350 pounds.
Yeah. Well, he always does. You know that. He loves being part of it. I'll tell you what was the shot heard around the world was us trying to get back to the locker room.
Oh my God! I was showing Ryan, my assistant, and I said, "Look, there's no barricades." And usually, what a lot of people don't know is back then is even the police, not all of them, but a lot of them that were there to secure us, to protect us. They all live in that town. We come in and out of the town, and they know a lot of people in the audience. And when something so catastrophic happens, then they want to back up and not be a part of protecting the person that everybody wants to kill at that time.
Wow.
And a lot of times you did not get that support from, the police. Now, the other side of that coin is there's been many times that we got unbelievable support without that we wouldn't have made it back to the dressing room.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I tell people that aren't aware of that, always go back, refer to the time that I turned on Dusty in the cage match in Atlanta.
Right.
And how hot that was getting out there. But it's a different crowd in Texas. I mean, and it was a closer situation. And I just think that, out there, the Cowboys and, they look at you a little different. They're not afraid of you. There's no intimidating them, right? So that was equally as hot getting out of there. But it translated into dollars all the way along the line. And I can guarantee you this, P.S., the ovation in Dallas will equal or surpass anything you would have gotten here in Atlanta.
I tend to agree to that. I don't know if I would have some years ago, but that's really where we made our mark, and we didn't do it alone. We had help, and people can say what they want about the Von Erich boys. You have no idea how strong and how over they were.
Yeah, exactly. To all the listeners of Woo Nation, I love Mack Weldon. Wendy loves Mack Weldon. Mack Weldon is the official underwear of the Conradison. Go to MackWeldon.com and get 20% off using the promo code FLAIR. That's FLAIR. Woo! They are easy to buy, high quality, and very comfortable. Mack Weldon underwear, socks, and shirts are antimicrobial, which means they eliminate odor. Come on, guys. This is no-brainer. Your lady will have a smile on her face when she sees you in your Mack Weldons. You ought to see Wendy. Woo! If you don't believe me, ask Wendy. Mack Weldon is so sure you will love their underwear that if you don't like your first pair, they'll refund you, no questions asked, and you can keep the pair. Support Woo Nation and go to MackWeldon.com and get 20% off using the promo code FLAIR. That's FLAIR. Mack Weldon, go, go, go. Woo!
Welcome to Play It, a new podcast network featuring radio and TV personalities talking business, sports, tech, entertainment, and more. Play it at play.it.
I've said this before. I've been blessed to work with some really great, baby faces that were really over. Tommy Rich comes to mind, Ted DiBiase, and the great late Junkyard Dog, and was there when Dog exploded in New Orleans. And with all due respect to all those guys, I don't think anybody was as hot as the Von Erichs were in Texas.
No, they weren't. I would have to agree with you. I mean, especially Kerry. I mean, I just feel like Kerry was, the flagship, but they all were over big time. And, they were like a steamboat in the East Coast or in the southern part of the country. And,
right. They were sex symbols.
Yeah, they were. I mean, Kerry riding that Palomino down the beach, in the loins, in the Tarzan get up, He had that phenomenal look. He was just a phenomenal guy. Hey, is Kevin going to participate in the festivities?
Well, Kevin will definitely be there.
Great.
At WrestleMania. I'm not going to let that cat out of the bag. I think everybody will be pleasantly pleased.
Okay.
And just let that go at that. I mean, as you know, I inducted Von Erichs in Houston.
I was there.
Yeah, I know. What was it? Well, you're always there. What do you mean I was there?
It's
kind of like you go out to feed the dog in the yard, and the dog's there. If it's Hall of Fame, if it's a big event, Ric Flair's there. Duh.
Well, thank you.
And speaking of big events, I need you to work in Larange, Louisiana next week.
Okay, you got it.
Hey, free hot dogs and green beer.
Yeah, I know. Like I haven't done that before.
We all have.
You forget I was working for TNA for a year and a half.
Oh, okay. Well, it used to get me back in the 80s when we would work L'Oranger. They'd have an intermission, and they'd raffle off a rifle.
Yeah.
Okay, so drunk Louisiana people that hate you, and now we're going to give them something to work on you with.
Yeah, it's the only state in the union where you can go through a drive-through and get a drink.
Yeah. Drive up daiquiri huts.
Drive up daiquiri. And
the names are phenomenal. Yeah. Battery acid, nuclear waste.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I probably had something to do with naming one of them.
Well, then they should have one called Divorce Daddy.
You know what? Sometimes you and Conrad are my friends, and sometimes it just becomes annoying. That's an old joke.
Hey, you know what's really cool about going in Dallas is that, ironically enough, this is going to be, I dare say, the biggest and greatest WrestleMania of all time.
Oh, my God.
AT&T Stadium, Shane McMahon coming back. How big is that? I mean, that is so huge. Mm-hmm. It's the lineup is, which I know hasn't all been divulged, and I'm certainly not going to do it because we spread that out for a reason.
Mike, please. It's phenomenal. Mike, please. We thought we were going to get something big today on the show.
You did, me. But I just it's going to be. I might even go to the after party this year.
Well, you won't have a choice. Can I tell you something? When you see the gift on Conrad, I'm not going to give it up, okay, but I'm pretty excited. When you see the gift that Conrad's getting you, you'll be at the party.
Is that blonde from the Booty Shaker bar in Huntsville?
All right, let's move on, Mr. Hayes. Let's talk a little bit about what this really means. And I know you...
Yeah, sure. That sounds great. I'm excited.
Hey, Michael.
Yeah.
Conrad's got a what do you call it? A boudoir full of blondes.
So, Mr. Hayes, I know you better than I used to, obviously. Talk everybody through kind of what this means. It's my impression that you finally being in the Hall of Fame isn't so much about you as it is you kind of felt an obligation and you really wanted it for Buddy and for Terry and for their family. What is this going to mean to their families at this point, you think?
Well, that's a really good question. I think it will bring back a lot of fond memories and a lot of closure, if you will, to the sacrifices that both Buddy and Terry and we all make. And Rick can attest to this, of the time that you spend away from your families to provide for them. And it's a double-edged sword in the fact that, you get so caught up in your life and your work life of what you're doing and how much you're giving and sacrificing and paying and providing really good life for your families. But at the same time, they come back and they go, yeah, but, what I really want is your time, and you don't have any for me. And, sometimes it just it's tough to balance. And hopefully this will bring it full circle, and they'll all go, "Yeah, I'm glad he did that." I know, talking to Terry Ray Gordy Jr. and Buddy Roberts Jr., that they are on pins and needles, but with good pins and needles. They're so excited, so nervous, so happy and proud of their dads, and I'm sure their wives feel the same way too. And in Terry's case, it goes way down the line, because I know his extended family even better. And I mean, a lot of stuff about Terry Gordy people don't know is, like, he used to go to the Memorial Auditorium every Saturday night. His family would take him to go see championship wrestling, and as soon as he'd get home, he'd cut up the pillowcases. He'd cut two eyes out, and he'd be the masked medic or the blue Yankee and bounce around, on the couch. And here's a guy that had his first professional match at 13 years old against Ernie Ladd.
Wow, I did not know that. Wow.
13 years old.
If Terry were alive, how old would he be now?
he was 2 years younger than me, so I'm about to turn 57, so he would be approaching 55.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't believe you're 57. That blows me away.
Right? I mean, I look every bit of 27. But, Conrad, to his family, it's just, or their families, I should say, it's really cool. You know what I mean? It just really puts their dads back on the map, back in the spotlight for one more time, and so deservedly so. It just makes everybody smile, man, and makes them proud, and that's cool. That is really cool.
We've got a lot of younger listeners who maybe aren't super familiar with the talent that Terry Gordy was, but everybody hears about all the respect that the guys who are in the industry had for him just as a performer. What would you guys say, and Rick, I want your 2 cents on this too, would be a match that we could recommend that people who are listening to this should go check out to really appreciate just how awesome he was?
Well, almost any match he was in, but there's a couple Terry Gordy Ric Flair matches from World Class Championship Wrestling that anybody should watch, and just to see how talented he was from the aspect that Rick was one of the few guys that could actually come into the area, and the most hated guys on the roster, which was us, actually turn us for people cheering because they dislike Rick that much.
I'm going to give you my take on Terry Gordy. My comparison would be, and I mean, to me, this is about as flattering as I could be. He was the same height, but he was a 310 or 15-pound Barry Windham.
Wow.
I mean, Terry Gordy could do it all, and he weighed over 300 pounds, right, Mike?
Oh, yeah.
Over 300, and he could do anything that Barry Windham could do, and Barry Windham could do anything Steamboat could do. So that's where we're at with Terry Gordy. And, yes, I feel like I had some really good matches with Terry in the small building. I never got to work with him on any of the big shows. Big guy always worked with the Von Erichs. But
right.
Terry and I worked probably 3 or 4 times in the smaller building in Dallas.
Sportatorium.
Yeah, and he was over him. I mean, the whole thing with the Freebirds, it was funny because they were the hottest heels in the territory. But when I came there, they were bay faces with me, so which was great for me because I didn't have to fight up or anything, go uphill or downhill. It just worked out like that because at that time being champion was really fun when you went to a place where guys could perform. I mean, because there were a lot of places I went where they couldn't. So I couldn't wait to get to Dallas. Number one, to have the opportunity to hang out with a bunch of good guys, but it was fun working in Dallas.
A little funner than Kansas City.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, I mean, and here's the worst problem Michael and I had. And I can remember to this day. We were in San Antonio, afternoon show. I had missed my plane in Columbus. Do you remember that, Mike?
Yep.
And I had to bring a Learjet. I don't know what I was doing in Columbus, but I had to bring a Lear to San Antonio. It was New Year's Day, right, or Super Bowl Sunday. What was one or the other? And afternoon show was sold out, and I had to wrestle Kerry 2 out of 3 falls with Lothario and Manning, right, as outside referee, inside referee. And Michael and I were arguing about who was going on last because we were going to be on that plane going back to Dallas. On what the airline we flew all the time? Southwest, which was a party in itself. So Michael ended up pulling rank on me, man. I had to go on last. But that was the worst. That was the worst of it because it was sold out everywhere we went, and that was a hot crowd too, boy, in San Antonio.
Oh yeah, man, they rocked in San Antonio.
Yep.
Well, you know what? Liquor will do that to you.
I wasn't drinking then in the afternoon.
No, because you were still hungover.
Oh yeah, from the night before.
Right.
Oh yeah, God. Well, that was a weather issue.
What, the altitude was too high?
I don't know. Jeez.
But there's a lot of matches out there with Terry. If the Texas Stadium match with Kevin and Mike and Fritz. If you just watch, Fritz was so apprehensive about coming back in the ring one more time, and I really had to talk him into it. It was like, I said, dude, if anybody can take care of you, we will. I said, you won't have to do nothing. Just take a tag, barely step in the corner, stand there and just throw punches.
Yeah.
But what Terry would do, did in that match for Fritz would just show you. And the one thing Terry was always able to do was, and a lot of guys still can't do this today, is they hear the crowd. They hear noise. They don't listen to the crowd.
Right.
And they don't know how to control the crowd.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference in that. Terry was a master of that.
Yeah, I would have to agree. It's funny. A lot of people don't realize that unless you're a hardcore wrestling fan, it's really hard to become a big star in Japan because the style is completely different. And Terry took all that greatness as a performer in America and could turn it into the kind of performer he had to be in Japan, which was just stand up, stiff, tall, fight your way for everything. But he was a huge card in Japan as well.
Oh man, big time. And a guy that helped him along the way there was Bruiser Brody and Stan Hansen.
Yep.
And because I remember the first tour Terry was booked on to go there at the last minute he wanted to back out. He's like, oh hell, Michael, I don't know if I want to be over there.
Yeah.
And we all were like, no, dude, you have to just go check it out. And he fell in love with Japan, and more importantly, Japan fell in love with him.
Oh, big time! I was there. I was there more when he was with Steve Williams.
Yeah, and what a tag team they were.
Yeah, very good.
I mean, an unbelievable tag team. And speaking of which, I hope Dr. Death goes in the Hall of Fame someday.
I do too.
He really deserves it. He was an incredible athlete and an incredible guy. I tweeted out the other day that, and it's not my call, and it never will be my call, but there's so many great tag teams that aren't in the Hall of Fame that I worry about maybe not going in the Hall of Fame if we keep kind of the unwritten rule that only one tag team goes in a year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express,
exactly,
the Hart Foundation, the British Bulldogs, and I know I'm going to leave out a number of teams that should be mentioned too. I mean, but honest to God, I mean, we're not going to go to their hometowns. We're not going to go to where they all, probably, unfortunately, not going to have a WrestleMania in Charlotte where you would either the Rock and Roll and or Midnight Express, you would go, they had their greatest days.
Mm-hmm.
And that might nullify them from being considered, and I just think that's a shame.
Yeah, do you think that when it gets down to it, that they feel that they had to have worked for the WWE at some point in time?
I think that helps a lot.
Yeah,
no doubt about it, and I see that point. Quite frankly, I mean, home is where the heart is.
Yeah,
and I think you're going to be a little bit more receptive to people that did business for you. And obviously the Midnight and Rock and Roll Express do not fall into that category, but there's no denying their success.
Oh no, I definitely. I mean, I was with those guys for a long time, and watching them perform, and I'm not switching gears, but going back to the match you guys had at Texas Stadium with Fritz, the three of you against Fritz and the other two boys. I had to go out and try and follow that, Conrad, and we didn't.
Right.
No, I mean, when Kerry won, the crowd was loud, obviously, but trying to follow when Fritz put the claw on those guys, I mean, the place went upside down. And I'm thinking to myself, well, good luck with this one, right? Kerry was a little rough around the edges that day going in there. Jesus. Wow.
Rough around the edges. That's a polite way of putting that.
Yeah, well, I don't know, what else to say.
I think it's a very apt description.
Well, let me just tell you that we used the backslide for a finish because I knew they couldn't. Nothing could screw that up.
Well, okay. Now I have to be honest because. Yes, Kerry was able to perform a backslide with perfection.
Yeah. I
remember the first time you called a backslide when you and I were in the ring, and I said, what's a backslide? Yeah. I don't do this wrestling stuff. What I do is kick and punch. What are you calling?
Well,
and then Rick just took me and made me do a backslide.
Well, actually, I couldn't hear what you were saying because I already had a broken eardrum. from the first punch.
Hey, you moved.
Hey, Miami.
Miami.
I can tell you what town it was in.
Our draw.
Michael looked at me and said, "What are we doing this for?" I said, "Get Eddie Graham or Dusty or whatever."
Or a combination of the both.
Worst part of working world class. Like, we hear lots of stories about the different territories, and this guy was a good payoff, and this guy didn't know how to promote, and these towns were great to party in. What was the best part of working at world class, and what was the worst part?
Well, boy, I guess the best part was, I think, and maybe this is just in my mind, that after we, popped Louisiana with Junkyard Dog and all the other great talent that was down there, and then went to Atlanta and got the gimmick and the music on television first, which was a enormous task that I wanted to be successful at, and we were. And then we split apart for 6 or 8 months or something, and I think there may have been a feeling of, well, they've reached the ceiling now. And the Freebirds, that little rock and roll thing that we all said wasn't going to last forever, is not lasting forever. And when we went to Dallas and did it even bigger, and could not have done that without the Von Erichs, by the way, then everything was just gravy. We got our own first apartment for the three of us, which was unbelievable. We went and rented furniture. We were so proud of ourselves. Because you got to remember still, to put this into perspective, we're still in our early 20s.
Right.
So we're mature, way past our years in some ways, and still kids in another way. And I remember the Sportatorium was sold out. We were having some people over, and we get to the door. First night of the apartment, and I go, "All right, Terry, you have the keys." "No, I don't." "Yeah, I gave you the keys, Terry. You have them." "I gave them to Buddy." "Buddy, where's the keys?" "I got them." Come on, guys. Terry says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. I guess I do have the key." And he just hauls back and kicks the door right off the hinges.
Oh, jeez.
And now we're in, right?
Yeah.
And so then the party escalates, and finally one thing leads to another, and now, a couple half gallons of Jack Daniels, and Terry actually picks up the dining room table, slings it, goes across the ceiling of the living room, and goes through the sliding glass doors that lead onto the porch. Now, Buddy sees this, and Buddy, not to be outdone, starts running around, hitting the walls with his forearms, which just keep, knocking holes in the wall and showing the plumbing and everything. Then he looked at us, and he knew we were mad. Buddy takes a running jump and does the biggest ass bump you've ever seen through the coffee table. Now he looks at us, he knows we're really angry, and he goes, "We never drank coffee anyway." That is the first night in the Freebird apartment.
That sounds a lot like Jimmy Crockett's birthday party at the Hilton.
Oh, my God. That was on you, Rick.
That was on me.
Yeah, first of all, for Jimmy Crockett getting married again. See, if you and the Murnicks would have just kept him out at the bar, things like that wouldn't have happened.
No, I'm talking about up in the room.
Oh, I know what happened up in the room. Oh, my God.
We just, we've always had great chemistry in the ring and business-wise. The problem is we have better chemistry socially.
Yeah, I know.
Which it doesn't always work for us.
Yeah. What are you doing tonight?
Oh, man.
Hey, Conrad wants me to come back to Huntsville.
Well, we got to celebrate in style. Come on.
Yeah, they've got a new ballet there, by the way.
Oh.
The Late Show is really one you don't want to miss.
Welcome to Play It, a new podcast network featuring radio and TV personalities talking business, sports, tech, entertainment, and more. Play it at play.it.
Hey, once again, I'm not going to reveal the whole class, but to be going in with Sting and the Godfather, I just want to be close enough in proximity to the Godfather's dressing room for a number of reasons.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, when in Rome, right? So I figure it's okay if I go back a little bit in time and live my gimmick next to the Godfather's dressing room in Dallas, Texas, for Terry and Buddy to go in the Hall of Fame.
There you go.
Hey, you know what's interesting, too? We mentioned Jimmy Garvin, who was so instrumental when, he joined and our outfits. And, Jimmy is one of the most intelligent guys I've ever seen. Well, you have to be to fly a plane. At least I'd hope so. And as a matter of fact, Jimmy's getting surgery on his shoulder today as we speak. But he has already been so helpful in, trying to put together, the induction speech. Everybody's coming up to me, especially backstage and saying two things. I can't wait to see what you wear, and I can't wait to hear your speech.
Yeah, that was a big topic of discussion yesterday with Charlotte and I with you.
Yeah, I know. And, the good and bad thing about that is, I'm usually never at a loss for words, but I haven't done this in a while, so I might be a little rusty. So I want to be able to do this right for many reasons, but I don't have a lot of time to do that because, as you know, Rick, when it comes to WrestleMania, and, everything, but especially WrestleMania, I get involved pretty heavy with some of the bigger matches, and I dedicate myself to making sure that they are as great as everybody sees them on paper, if not better, and that's very time-consuming.
I know your schedule, Mike. I think Conrad's been around enough to see how busy you are because, as I've said to you 1,000 times, which is a compliment to you, and you seem to handle it very well. I never see you upset by it. If you are, you're internalizing. But, I would say that the majority of the guys, and it's not any lack of respect for me, for them, the guys are coming to you or aren't. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Where it used to be Pat, not so much. But I know for a fact that, you're always you're in the main event. That's just the way it is. And then you had the main event last night, but you also had a lot to do with the segment with the girls, Becky, Sasha, and Charlotte, and me. You know what I mean? And that was you and Road Dogg and Lita. So, I tell the girls all the time, it's a compliment to you guys to how far you've come when you start getting all this input from Michael Hayes, input from Road Dogg, and Hunter has been very involved in this a lot lately too.
Oh yeah, well, first of all, just to digress for a second, if you want to talk about the transformation and the 180 that Brian James, the Road Dogg, has done, it's not to be believed, and it's a testament to anybody out there that thinks they might have a monkey on their back that they could never get off. Mm-hmm. That's just not the case if you really want to. There's people out there that will help you do that, and the biggest person that'll help you do that is the person inside of you.
Yeah.
Brian has done so many great things, and I knew him when he was in a state of he didn't even know where he was.
Yeah, I did too.
And that's not the case right now. And when you want to talk about trips, he definitely has an overseeing mind that allows growth and it allows creativity. It's not squelching. You know what I mean? He'll give you some suggestions and see if that even sparks a better idea, or it at least puts you somewhere where you want to be. And those are good leadership qualities that you need, and that this company will need. Going further. But my point was, and I know we digressed a little bit, is that every WrestleMania I am so busy, much less trying to get inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I've been giving my disclaimer, if you will, to all my family and friends that are coming. And I'm like, okay, you can come. That's cool, and I appreciate you coming, but don't think you're going to see me. At least not that much.
Is your mother coming?
My mom is not coming, but she's going to watch. When she found out she could watch it live on the network in her home, she was like, Michael, do you really mind if I don't come? Yeah. And I was like, no, that's fine, because you're not going to get to see me that much anyway. I will guarantee you this, if not Ooh, if not at the end of the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, if not before, I will be headed probably, to some rehearsal, or to go over entrances or something, probably to AT&T Stadium. I mean, I won't be going like out to dinner with family and friends. All that stuff's going to have to wait till after WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, last year, we were all there last year. You left.
Yeah.
After the Hall of Fame induction, and you were going to help. You were going to rehearse somewhere or go over
the building, WrestleMania. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Conrad. But my PS had to go off somewhere. So.
Yeah, and WrestleMania last year was on your birthday, isn't that right?
Yeah, it was, and I decided a long time ago, forget about the birthday, forget about everything, because there's nothing more satisfying. Nothing more satisfying than when the show is that great and the audience has that much fun, because so many people live for it. That's their one show a year that they really want to go to. I mean, and I remember sitting in Gorilla after Roman and Brock last year, and I just sat there for about 10 minutes after everybody was gone and just went, wow. Yeah. What a show that was last year. You know what I mean? And you finally get a moment to, take a breath and just realize, all that hard work was worth it. It really was. And I mean, and by this time they're like taking off the top of the gorilla position. They've already pulled all the cables. And I just sat there and just, kind of reminisced about it. And then, I just went to bed. But now I will tell you this. Come Wednesday following WrestleMania is when I usually go on vacation.
After Houston.
And it's going to be on like Donkey Kong, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Michael will be headed to the Redneck Riviera, Pensacola and Panama City, Fort Walton and Destin. Look out.
At least you're giving them a heads up.
I am. This is at least a 5-6 weeks heads up, If they're looking to go on vacation, go when I'm on vacation.
Yeah, I actually have a Comic-Con in Pensacola. I haven't even told Wendy that I'm going down to with her. So
when is that?
The date, I'll pull it up right now. But it's in Pensacola, and it's on a Sunday. And a lot of the proceeds go to Special Olympics, so I'm going to do it.
That's awesome.
And I forgot to tell Wendy, and because she loves it down there, and we'll go stay. Sunday, August 21st. I'm gonna go down there on the 19th and 20th with Wendy, and then I'll do the Comic-Con. It's called the Special Olympics Pensacola Charity Comic-Con.
Is that the same weekend as SummerSlam?
That's a good question.
Boy, if it is, I guess I won't be there, right?
It sounds like it.
Yeah, well, I haven't signed anything yet. So.
Okay.
Yeah, are you booking me? Let me know.
I'll get you. Hey, earlier,
Michael, I'll get you a present too for getting inducted. Hey, and just so you know, there won't be
a special outfit planned. Can you give us a hint? I mean, everybody online assumes that before this whole flag controversy last year that we may have been treated to a sequined rebel flag suit or something of that.
Yeah,
nature.
Well, it's a shame because, and I've said this before, but when we came to Texas, the Von Erichs would proudly take a flag from a fan in the audience, and the Texas flag with the Lone Star and all that. So, being the nemesis in the storyline, then we started taking the Georgia flag, which had the rebel flag in it, which I've always thought, just from a flag perspective, was a gorgeous flag. And so then we started making our outfits out of the rebel flags because, we're rebellious. Never had anything to do with being racist. Then people like to say, well, they painted their faces like the rebel flag. Okay, if you look at history, the first and only time that we ever started painting our faces was when we were going against the Road Warriors, who also painted their faces and were notoriously known for being from the North. So people read so much more into that. I get it now because some stupid idiot in South Carolina that did a reprehensible, despicable act. And the good thing I wasn't in charge because he'd have never gone to court. It would have just shot him.
Yeah.
But, I mean, man, I just don't think clothes and images make bad people. I think bad people are bad people. And for a number of reasons, but not that. But anyway, with the controversy, you're not going to see any rebel flags.
Yeah. Well, the thing of it is, the world we live in right now is overly sensitive, but it's not going to change.
No, it's only going to get worse. It's a litigious, world right now. I mean, you get sued over anything and nothing.
Yep. I know.
I know you know.
No, so wait. You know what? I'm the host of this show. This is not to beat up.
Yeah, but
what the hell? I ought to get sued by women. Nobody else. One plane ride, okay?
Yeah, but you're kind of like Wile E. Coyote.
Oh, thank you. God, you're right. When I go out on my induction speech in Orlando, and the first thing I say is Michael Hayes is the creator of music, remember?
Right.
Put you over huge, right? And today all you're doing is cracking on the host of Wooooo Nation. I don't get it.
No, I'm going
to cry at your induction, but I might not let you see it now.
Oh. Rick, you cry every day.
Oh, Jesus. I'm proud of my daughter. I'm sorry, okay?
And you should be.
Yeah, thank you.
You should be. She's awesome. And
thank you.
I'm going to tell you right now, those three girls
yep.
may steal the show.
I think they do.
They may steal the show because a lot of that crowd will be international, and not that that's a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that crowd is going to be, for lack of a better term, an NXT crowd.
Yeah.
Right. And if they don't steal the show, they'll come close to it. They will put pressure, which is awesome, on every other performer on that show.
Yep.
And trust me, everybody knows how big this is. I mean, it's going to break our WrestleMania 3 attendance record. It's the biggest one. It's in AT&T Stadium. Jerry Jones, Vince McMahon. Ooh, wow! I was in Vince's office when those two met. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I've seen it. I got to get out of here. Well, there wasn't enough room. The egos were just everywhere.
Yeah. I don't imagine Vince took a back seat to him though.
Oh no, are you kidding? And to be honest, the Jones family, especially his daughter Charlotte, who's been working in conjunction with us, have done a tremendous job in bringing WrestleMania there. It's going to be one of the greatest weekends ever. I'm just trying to tell myself the whole time to enjoy it because I try to tell the young kids this. We used to be so wrapped up, and I imagine you have this happened to you too, Rick, that you get so wrapped up in what you're doing and your career and these big events that you build to and you work to, and you're so nervous to hit the mark and make the best performance ever that you never enjoy the journey.
Yeah, no,
you kind of are happy you got to the destination, but you didn't enjoy the journey, and it's like, now I want to enjoy this journey. I want to enjoy that whole weekend because it's going to be special for everybody involved.
Yeah, one of my favorite stories, Michael, and I mean, it involves you, is that I was so nervous and uptight in Orlando, and the night before the show, this was after the Hall of Fame, I was walking around. I wasn't drinking, and I was so uptight. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just nervous about tomorrow." He said, "You looked at me and said, what are you talking about? You've done this 10,000 times. Have some drinks. Be who you are. Have you ever performed after a day when you didn't have a drink?" I said, "No." He said, "Why would you change now?" Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. I got to tell you, I've been blessed enough to work with some of the greats in this business and be, helpful, possibly a little bit in their matches. And boy, I tell you this, if this isn't a compliment, you and Sean's match ranks right up there with me as far as being involved with Sean and Taker.
Yeah, well, you did the whole thing.
Yeah.
It was you and I and Sean.
I know, and that's one of my proudest moments. So, that's what's really cool for me is that I've been able to, after my ring career, live vicariously through the other people I help with their matches, and am honored enough to have that opportunity. And that one was so emotional for many reasons. Yeah. But you guys hit every mark, everything that you needed to hit in that thing. What a story!
Well, thank you, and the whole deal going into it. But and another big match you put together for me, and you probably have forgotten about this. You do so many. Was you put together me and Taker in Toronto?
Yeah.
And I was really nervous for that one, remember? Because I had my self-confidence at that point in time was like at an all-time low, and you kept walking around. I said, Mike, I don't know if I can do this. And you said, you ain't got a choice now.
No, we're there. You're doing it. It's just a matter of how well you're doing it.
You're in Toronto, and we got the doors locked. You ain't leaving the building. But, man, we pulled it off. I mean, to me, thinking I hadn't been in a ring with a guy of that caliber in so long, and to pull it off, I mean, that's one of the reasons I love that guy so much. When I missed the flip, he backed me up and said, "You ready, kid? Let's try it again." I mean, that's those are the kind of things you never forget. Now, again, remember, I was 54 years old then. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I was 28,
right,
bouncing around. But I mean, but it never affected my body. I never got hurt doing that. But I just, when you lose your self-confidence, it's a tough one to get back over. And I had that happen to me twice, and then. But after I wrestled him, man, I was back in gear.
Well, it's funny. I hear so many people, and we know what a great, not just what a great performer, just what a great person the Undertaker is in many ways. But so many people will say, once they're in the ring with him, it's on, and the intimidation factor is not to be believed. It goes through the roof.
No, well, that's the truth. I mean, here I wrestled him a lot when I was here in the 90s. We tore it down everywhere then, but to have him want me to be his opponent, I mean, Hunter came and got me and said, "What do you think?" I said, "God, instead of going jumping through the roof, I said, I don't know if I can do that." He said, "Well, they're booking it right now." And then I was with you. And that whole story leading up to it was great with he and I, too. I mean, I've had some phenomenal, opportunities, and I tell this to people all the time because you hear all these stories about people knocking the company or knocking this and knocking that, and I am so thankful because Bischoff put so much pressure on me to go out there with Hall and Nash and Hogan and say we're going to close down. I just said I ain't doing it, and I'm not going to bring up WWE. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to be like Harley and call Hogan a plastic champion. That was back in the 80s, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I just can't, and thank God, because my legacy in this business wouldn't be anything like it is now if I hadn't come back in 2001.
Right. Well, when you're the big dog, which, obviously WWE is, then you're on the pedestal, so people just want to knock you off. And quite frankly, a lot of the criticism people have for us is some of it's valid. I'm not going to lie and say it's not. But, what makes me so proud every day to get up and work for WWE is everybody that works for WWE, and I'm talking about everybody, from the guy in the mailroom, from everywhere, everybody's goal, and it sounds like such a cliche term, is to put smiles on people's faces all across the world.
Yep.
That is what we do. There are so many things that we do as a company for people that nobody knows about. There are so many things the McMahon family does to help people on a personal level that nobody knows about because we just don't toot our horn on that. But, there's an overwhelming swell of pride for the things that we do. And no, we don't get everything right. And no, guess what? We're not going to always get everything right. But we got a pretty good batting average. And that batting average is going to hit the ceiling again first weekend of April.
Well, I'll make a statement that I've made before that really doesn't pertain to business as much as it does speaks volumes for the company. you could walk around all day long and touch everybody that works for that company at a Raw or a SmackDown or a pay-per-view, and everybody is so polite. I mean, it's the unwritten law. You don't raise your voice, and I mean, it likewise, the talent can't raise their voice either, and shouldn't, or they should be reprimanded. But from all the people that work on the pre-tapes, it's, sir, I mean, I'm Rick, okay? Sir, can you help me? I mean, you never hear one person. I mean, it's just unwritten law. Would you agree, Mike?
Oh, yeah. Even the people in catering are great.
Oh, Jen, of course. God, Jen, my God. So, no, I'm just saying, everybody's just so polite, and they go out of their way to make everybody's life easy. I mean, the days are long, no shit. But, I mean, you can't be in a better place with more people that are friendly and just trying to make the product. As a matter of fact, sometimes it'll drive me crazy, and I have to bite my lip on a pre-tape, right? Like with the girls a lot recently. It's overproduced a couple times by the younger guys,
right?
And and I want to say, guys, you got too many cooks in the kitchen. These girls are pretty new at this. You know what I mean? But I just got to bite my lip, and of course, Charlotte will say, "Dad." Yes, I go, yes, ma'am.
Welcome to Play It, a new podcast network featuring radio and TV personalities talking business, sports, tech, entertainment, and more. Play it at play.it.
I've got to run here because I got a conference call with Hunter.
No problem.
But one thing I do want to say about the dynamic of Ric Flair and Charlotte, what a giving performer you are to take the back seat and willingly take the back seat and let her shine, because I know there's just a handful of great ones that God blessed with that talent to do what you do, because that's why you're here. And to be able to put it on the back burner for the good of her career, probably not the easiest thing to do, and probably you'll never tell anybody that, but I know that, and I'm proud of the job you're doing.
Well, Mike, thank you very much. Can I just tell you something to add on to that?
What?
I have no choice. You think she cuts me any slack? I'm lucky if I get a woo in.
I know, and she's bugging me about going to her birthday in Orlando.
I know, man. Well, I'm bugging you, too. I'll be there.
Real quick before we let you go.
It is first day of vacation, but we'll see.
Okay.
Real quick before we let you go, Mr. Hayes, everybody's been clamoring for you to be in the Hall of Fame, not just because of what you did on screen with the Freebirds, but because of what your role has been behind the scenes that you really don't ever get any credit for, or not enough credit. If you could, what would you say is your most proud accomplishment or your most proud thing that you've done behind the scenes that's contributed to the business?
Wow. That's hard to say, because when you wear that many hats, you do that many functions.
Something just jumped to mind, though. You had one angle or one match or something.
If it was match-oriented, and we just spoke about Rick and Sean with Rick's career on the line, but if it was match-oriented, and this is a tough one because I've been blessed to be with so many, it'd have to be Sean Taker 1.
Yeah, I agree.
And because, God bless it, they were only like halfway through, and at that point, the allotted time, because you have to somewhat make a projection how much time for each match to try to get it in the the window of the 3-hour pay-per-view, or in this case 4-hour pay-per-view. And I was looking and I go, oh my God, they got 10 minutes left and they've got at least 25 more minutes to go. And Jerry Briscoe looked at me, who was keeping time, and he goes, Michael, how much longer? I said, Jerry, I hate to tell you this, but it's at least 25 minutes. He almost passed out.
Yeah.
and Vince came over the headset, and because he was listening to the conversation, Vince goes, I don't care, let him go. And everybody else had to follow suit. But, that would be, from a match perspective, every time we do tribute to the troops, that's such a great feeling.
Yeah.
And the one I went to in Iraq, I'm proud of myself for doing that. Let me just say that. I'm proud that I got on that, warplane and flew over there, and I stayed in Tent City with, the camera crew, and, it was just cots and dirt floors and not even close to what our troops do for us. But I got a little taste of that, and that I'm proud of that moment.
Well, we are both, speaking on behalf of Conrad, we are both proud to be your friend.
Yes, sir.
I cannot thank you enough, Mike, for everything. So honored to be on that same stage with you. I'll be inducting Sting. It's not a secret, and be so proud to be there with you at the special time. And thanks again for everything.
Hey, thank you guys.
Thank
man.
you.
It is a special time.
Yeah, and thanks for all you do for Charlotte.
Oh, hey, what does she do for us?
Yeah, thank you. Love you, buddy.
Okay, I love you guys too, man. Y'all have a great day.
I'll see you Monday in Chicago, kid.
You know you will. Down. Okay.
Rick?
See, man?
How cool is that?
That was really cool. And it's funny because it was the second time around, and we didn't discuss anything we talked about the first time.
Yeah, and what I think is really cool, too, is, I know we kind of promoted and teased last week. We were going to talk about WrestleMania 8, but when our good friend gets announced going into the Hall of Fame, that takes precedent. And it's hot off the presses. Michael P.S. Hayes and the Freebirds are going in, and it's a long time coming, and I'm super happy for it.
Yeah, I am, too. The package Monday night, I mean, I look at that, my God, I was part of all that era. If Michael Hayes and I had the same hair now that we had back then, we'd both be working. What happened to our hair? Is that, in my case, it's got to be divorce. He's only been divorced twice, right? Or is it 3?
What was worse, losing your wives or losing your hair?
Losing my hair. Losing the wife just isn't cost effective. Losing my hair hurts my look.
That's amazing.
Wendy's getting me a weave.
Well, I tell you what, man, a lot of people are going to listen to this and be very encouraged by what Hayes said about WrestleMania because the injury bug has ran rampant through the roster, and it seems like, maybe the projected card has changed several times because, Orton, Cena, Cesaro, you go down the line, Seth Rollins, there's so many injuries that maybe people were thinking, is this really going to be able to live up to the hype? But Hayes has the inside track. If he says it's going to be awesome, I tend to believe him.
Well, I'm at every TV, and you're the ones that you're able to get away from work and come to. It's hot right now, and the ratings reflect, how hot the shows are. You know what I mean? It's not just because football's not on. The last couple of weeks have been smoking. So
yeah, they're building some momentum. I can't wait to see it pay off. But to me, the highlight of the weekend is going to be Hayes finally getting to be on that Hall of Fame stage, just knowing what it means to him and really what it means to him to make sure that Terry and Buddy are recognized. The way
let me tell you, Michael's a very caring guy, and he's a very caring guy in a very insensitive business. Yeah, you know what I mean. But the same thing, the exterior of Vince McMahon, and he brought it up, is not really who that guy is. Right, that's who he is. But they do take care of a lot of people. It just goes, without getting recognition for it. So, it's a great company. I'm looking forward to it. You and I'll meet you Tuesday. Wendy won't be there till Thursday, so we'll have to have at it.
Hey, that's Hayes' birthday, so if he comes in Tuesday, we need to go to some more watering holes.
He'll be locked up in a vault. Are you kidding me? They put the same kind of leash on him with a GPS like they do me.
Yeah, of all the traveling I've ever done with you, I have never, ever in my life seen Michael Hayes at the company hotel. He's just...
he's there, but he's upstairs.
He's a ghost. He doesn't exist.
No, he's like, what's the guy's name in the movie Wolf where he handcuffs himself to the radiator? Jack Nicholson.
Well, this was fun, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, buddy. Have a great day. Wendy and I are headed to Papacitos. Sorry you won't be there. Woo! I'm going to have 6 Miller Lights. She's going to have her cheese dip. And fajitas today? Yep. Okay, man. Then I'll give you the heads up on how the afternoon went. By God, we'll be bouncing around on a Casper, I'm sure of it.